The president didn't learn about this for a month after the diagnosis in early December. Just quite simply, does the president think that's acceptable?
Oh!
Does the president think that's acceptable?
It is not optimal, Gabe. It is for a situation like this to go as long as it did without the commander-in-chief knowing about it or the national security advisor knowing about it, or frankly, other leaders at the Department of Defense. That's not the way this is supposed to happen. The president understands that, and that's why he wants the chief of staff to take a look at processes across the administration and agencies here, and that's why DOD is also looking at their own procedures to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
The Pentagon referred to the surgery as an elective procedure. Technically, it may be, but isn't that at best misleading?
Oh!
As far as I know, Gabe, again, I barely got a history degree, so I'm not capable of talking about medical stuff. But as far as I know, that phrase elective medical procedure came in the statement by the two doctors at Walter Reed. That wasn't a Pentagon assessment. That was the wording chosen by the two doctors.
But isn't it misleading for the Pentagon to put that forward?
Oh!
You'd have to talk to the Pentagon and the doctors. Gabe, I'm not a physician. The two physicians that are responsible, they use that phrase. They should speak to what that means. I'm not an expert.
All right, Peter.
Thank you. John, what kind of commander-in-chief is President Biden that at a time when American forces are under fire in the Middle East, he can go days without knowing that his defense secretary is in a hospital bed?
Oh!
Peter, there's a lot to your question, so I want you to bear with me for just a second. Now, first of all, at no time was the ability for the United States military to defend our national security interests compromised. At no time was the commander-in-chief not always in command and control of our military forces around the world. And over the course of those days, we did take military action that he approved, taking out a senior militia commander in Iraq with what we call a dynamic strike, a strike that he had approved many days before, for which the theater commander had full permission to execute.
Okay, thank you for all the detail on that. But more broadly, why should we believe anything that this administration tells us about anything ever again?
Oh!
I think we all recognize, and I think the Pentagon has been very, very honest with themselves about the challenge to credibility by what has transpired here, and by how hard it was for them to be fully transparent with the American people. I think we all recognize that. And wait, now just give me a second now. I know you got another one coming here, but we all recognize that this didn't unfold the way it should have on so many levels, not just the notification process up the chain of command, but the transparency issues. We all recognize that. And I think we all want to make sure we learn from that. It's up to you and your colleagues, and it's up to the American people to determine, how much they're going to ascribe what happened here to our credibility on every single issue. But in every way, Secretary Austin has been an exceptional defense secretary, and he still has the full faith and confidence of the commander-in-chief. He has led the department at an incredibly dangerous time for our national security interests and those of our allies and partners.
But if the administration is going to go to such great lengths to keep secrets about the defense secretary's health, how can anybody be certain that the administration would not go to the same lengths to keep secret problems with President Biden's health?
Oh!
If you could logically argue, and you can't, but if you could logically argue that
He's 81 years old.
Wait a second. Just give me a second here, bub. Wait a second. Just give me a second here, bub.
And this just went on and on today. Every reporter nailed Kirby on this question.
I'll get there. If the administration made some sort of Machiavellian effort across the board to keep this from getting public, then I think your question has merit and certainly is a fair one. I don't think it's a fair one because that's not what happened here, Peter. What happened here is the Secretary of Defense, for whatever reason, I can't answer the question why, that information wasn't shared. It wasn't shared widely in the department, and it certainly wasn't shared with the
You guys
interagency.
didn't know. Isn't
It's
that
not.
worse?
It's not.